we shouldn't be thinking that the surplus that California has is something that's going to continue. I believe it's going to be finite.
It's official. The $262 billion state budget is signed, but is there smoke and mirrors built into it? And is California, the fifth largest economy in the world, truly roaring back? It comes as a date for the recall election is now set, with a bizarre lawsuit filed by Governor Newsom. State Senator Andreas Borges will join me.
I am extraordinarily serious about what I'm doing.
Reality TV star Caitlyn Jenner set to kick off her statewide campaign tour. But is her candidacy more about publicity or politics? The exclusive one-on-one with the gubernatorial candidate. And our panel ready to weigh in. From some of the controversy swirling around the state budget to a recall election that is now set to hit the ballot boxes in 70 days. Welcome to Sunday. It's KC24, Sunday Morning Matters.
Now, from your local election headquarters, KC24, this is Sunday Morning Matters with your host, Alexandre Balakian.
And good Sunday morning. Welcome into Sunday Morning Matters on this Independence Day. I'm Alexandre Balakian. Please join the conversation on Twitter and Facebook at Real Alexandre. Use the hashtag Sunday Morning Matters. Along the way, famed UFO journalist George Knapp with new developments into unclassified documents on UAPs and alien encounters. But first, Governor Newsom's fate now lies in the hands of California voters as a recall election date is now set. That date is September 14th. The Lieutenant Governor making it official on Thursday afternoon. As our Capitol Bureau reporter Ashley Zavala reports, the day wasn't the only order of business nailed down. The final cost of the special election also announced.
Governor Gavin Newsom's campaign quickly came out to say they look forward to voters rejecting this recall. Meanwhile, his opponents say they're ready. Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis making Governor Gavin Newsom's recall election date official. It's set for September 14th. Kounalakis released a statement Thursday saying, quote, "Although the window of time from which I could select a date was narrow, I believe we've chosen a fair and reasonable date for this election to take place. It has always been my intention to choose an election date that gives election officials and the public ample time to ensure a smooth election with broad participation." September 14th is the day local elections officials pointed to as the earliest possible day they could handle, noting because this will be an all vote-by-mail election, ballots need to be printed and sent. Meanwhile, polling places need to be set up and staffed. Kounalakis' announcement is the end of a domino effect that began Thursday morning. The Department of Finance finalized its cost analysis of the election at $276 million total. Hours later, the Secretary of State certified the election and handed the baton off to the Lieutenant Governor. This swift timeline was made possible by the legislature that passed a rule this week to help speed up the process, allowing lawmakers to skip a typically required 30-day review of the election. Newsom's Republican opponents like Kevin Faulconer and John Cox are already releasing statements saying they're ready. Cox made a stop in Sacramento Thursday.
I'm ready to go. I think people will see what's going on, and it'll backfire on them.
Our Ashley Zavala reporting there. So let's welcome in this week's panel for a deeper dive into how the date of the recall came to be. Just the second in state history. Two of the top political writers in the entire state, Dan Walters with Cal Matters and Laura Cordy with the Sacramento Bee. So here we are, guys. The Lieutenant Governor called the date fair and reasonable, considering what transpired this week during the state budget by state lawmakers expediting the process to September 14th. Is the date fair and reasonable? Dan, I'll start with you.
Well, it's fair and reasonable under the parameters that resulted from the legislature's action. And obviously the legislature and presumably Governor Newsom wanted as early a date as possible, and that was about the earliest date possible, according to the local election officials. So the real question is, will it help him or hurt him? Well, they think it'll help him, that he's doing well in the polls. And by shortening the election cycle, you lessen the chances that some terrible thing will happen to make him unpopular. It precedes his actions on this year's legislation, and maybe he gets through the fire season unscathed. We don't know. But there's also a potential downside to having that September election, is that it's a very unusual election day. And the real question then is, will there be a sufficient turnout of voters? Certainly, Governor Newsom's people don't like him, mostly Republicans, will turn out. There's a chance to take a blow at the man they don't like. But will the Democrats turn out in sufficient numbers to hold him up? Probably they will. But having that election on a very unusual day in September, just as more or less fall is about to begin, the kids are going back to school, maybe been going back to school. There's a question about turnout, and it could hurt the governor somewhat.
Well, Laura, I want to come to you because we heard from a lot of assembly members on the Republican side, especially Kevin Kiley, said this is all about cheating. Now, I'm sure if roles reversed, things like this may have happened. I can't say that for sure. But is Kevin Kiley, does he have a point? Is there some kind of altering of the rules to the recall in this situation?
You know, this is something that Democrats can do because they hold the supermajority. Republicans obviously aren't happy about it. Kiley is not the only one who says this is cheating, this is manipulation. But the other thing we're hearing from Republicans is, hey, we're going to come out and vote whenever you decide to hold it. The important context here is that in 2017, Democrats in the legislature actually added a couple of steps to the recall certification process as a way to delay the recall of State Senator Josh Newman, who ended up actually getting recalled from his position. He was later reelected. He's back in the legislature now. But, you know, these rules were only 4 years old. So the fact that now they're changing them again to a lot of Republicans feels like manipulations of the playing field. But as you heard from Cox and Faulconer and even the California GOP chairwoman, Jessica Malone Patterson today, they are kind of throwing their hands up saying, we're ready. We'll do it whenever.
You know, the other twist in all of this week is the peculiar lawsuit, right? Governor Newsom is suing the Secretary of State that he appointed because, well, he wants to make sure that his party affiliation is next to or below his name. He did not get it in time, and so now he's going to have to go before a judge in hopes to get that. Dan, we'll come back to you. Is this a big snafu? Is this problematic for the governor?
Well, it's a snafu for sure. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing when you think about it that he didn't follow the rules that his party was helping him, trying to help him, and he didn't follow the rules to get his party designation on the ballot. He'll probably get it there. A judge will probably let it happen, but it's more embarrassing. It's grist for his critics saying, this is a guy who doesn't know what he's doing. Let's get rid of him. If he can't even get his own paperwork for his own recall election straight, how can he possibly run the state? I mean, it's a debating point. It's a rhetorical point that can be made, and it might sway a few voters. Who knows?
Laura, I'll come to you. Kind of off that point, I want to get your take on that. And plus, you know, we do hear that there's another rule in place, especially for the recall. Candidates that jump in are going to have to turn in 5 years of tax returns. Now, if the judge allows Newsom to bend the rule, will these candidates then go say, hey, you know, you're bending the rules for Newsom. Can you bend the rules and not turn in 5 years of tax returns? Does it open up Pandora's box?
You know, I think that, well, first of all, you'd probably have to have another judicial decision if anybody wanted to challenge the tax return mandate. But it doesn't sound like many people are afraid of doing that. I was with John Cox just this morning. He came through Sacramento. He said he's more than happy to release his tax returns. Again, whether or not a judge decides to rule in Newsom's favor on this party affiliation issue, I think could be consequential for him. He's painted this as a partisan recall for a long time. He's making it clear to voters that this is about Republicans versus Democrats. So if he doesn't have the Democrat next to his name, it might weaken his message a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
All right, we have much more to come with our panel, including the state budget. Maybe a little bit more on the recall race as well. Do we have a name out there that we could see in the next couple of weeks? But coming up, in a bizarre twist, as we mentioned, Governor Newsom may not have his party affiliation next to his name on the recall ballot. And now he's suing the person who he appointed as Secretary of State. Now, the reporter who broke the story, Nick Cahill, will join me next.